Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Dr. Pat. You're listening to the Dr. Pat Show on Transformation Talk Radio. We've got a great show for you today. I am so thrilled to have Adam Kirk-Smith joining me here today. And, you know, Benny, this is about fighting fear and find the bravest you. The book that, the book that Adam has written is The Bravest You. 5 steps to fight your biggest fears, find your passion, and unlock your extraordinary life. Today, we're going to talk about what is the Breakthrough Bravery System. You know, what can we do to really address the fact that we might just have some fears? We might just have some things that are getting in the way of us living the lives we want to live. And so when you think about that, you might think about why Adam wrote this book. You know, he is an entrepreneur, life coach, consultant, motivational speaker, phenomenal blog, asmithblog.com, 70,000 unique monthly readers. But why is it? What is he tapping into? Also been named one of the most influential people of 2014 by American Genius. He has written for Entrepreneur, Success Magazine, and many others. When you think about him, you think about why people are so tapped in to his message. And that's what I want to say. What is the message and what are we listening to hear? Adam, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here, Pat. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it is, you know, what you've put in the book and what you're writing about is not just touching, you know, our minds in the world we live in today, but it's really touching our hearts. So here's what I want to ask you. Given all that you've done, all that you are, fabulous, successful person, what are some of the challenges and obstacles that you personally had to overcome to bring you to this very moment?
You know, interesting you would ask that question because that's exactly why I wrote this book. I would say the number one obstacle was fear. I lived with fear, well into, in my 20s, figuring things out. And the reason I had to write this book, not only for myself, because I believe that people can only write about or speak about what they experience or what they live. If you actually haven't done it or haven't experienced it, it's hard to capture the essence or capture the feeling that you have when experiencing those things. So my first book, not only because of my own journey, but because my book from start to finish took 4 years to write, but the first two years of it, again, you said I was a coach and consultant speaking to about 350 people over 2 years. The common thread between almost everybody, I would say a good 90%, was some form of fear that they were facing that was keeping them from their definition of success, whatever that might be. And so, yeah, I would say the biggest hurdle, the biggest thing keeping me back along my journey was fear. It wasn't, another thing was time, which I also talk about a lot in the book because a lot of our fears are related to either a conceived lack of time or the reality of a lack of time. Finances at one point stood in the way, but I would say the number one thing is fear. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting that we talk about that, and we talk about it in a lot of different ways. First of all, what I want to say about it is I think all of us have been able to experience it somewhere along the way. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
can think of the scariest times in my life, and there may or may not be what was scary to you or
Right.
scary to other people, right?
Yep.
Because we're
Yep.
all different, right?
Right.
We're all
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, exactly. And in the book, I give exercises for that reason. The reason why coaching and consulting works is because I get to sit down one-on-one with people and find out where they're coming from. But writing a self-help book or a business book or, whatever genre you want to put it in, it's really hard because you don't exactly know where people are coming from. So exercises in the book really help it become relatable to each specific person and helps them find exactly what their fears are. And we all experience different fears. That's one thing about talking to people and allowing vulnerability to take place and conversations to take place. We have to have these necessary conversations because without it, we keep our fears silent, we keep to ourselves. And anytime that happens, anytime that we allow our fears to remain only inside of us and not talked about, well, we feel like we're the only ones that are facing those fears. And in reality, many times, while you mentioned that, not all our fears are the same, many times the fears are the same. And talking about it to other people will put the light on that and allow us to walk through life together. Doing life alone is never healthy. We have to surround ourselves with friends and family. And, if people need counseling, then that's, it's important to reach out and get help, whatever that fear may be, whatever that situation may be.
Well, one of the things I've said time and time and again, I've been doing this 14 years, is that if we were meant to solve things alone, I think each of us would have been given our own planet.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of sit there like on our own planets and do what you would do by yourself on your own planet. What I want to ask you about is someone made a comment to me the other day, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. What they said to me was that we live in a world now where the degree of fear has never been greater. And I turned to them and I said, well, how do you know that? I said, how do we know the degree of fear? I said, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my grandpa. Over there in Italy under Mussolini. I said, them people they were like really afraid. There was like a real fear of things. How do we know that? And that's the question I would ask you. Is there an acceleration in fear? Or maybe there's an acceleration in courage that's showing the contrast. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's, to debate whether one's fear is greater than another's.
Right.
It's to go back to, let's say, Martin Luther King, not too long ago, but during, those years, that was quite the situation. I think the thing that is propelling, making more people aware is how readily available social media is and media is. Whereas, in the 40s and 50s, we were able to be more present in our, not able to, but we were more forced to because of the way media worked in our communities and in our cities. And the way media works now, so readily available, we can go to our Facebook stream and see what's happening at that moment in any city in the world. And I think that is what's amplifying things. But to really, say that this is the most fearful time, I don't think that is fair to all the many situations that happened in the past. Now, I do believe, courage looks different in this day and age. Where I wrote this book is for everyday courage. When when you look at war and when a draft happens and, during the time of the Holocaust, and I just mentioned Martin Luther King Jr. and racism when we were breaking through that. Obviously with the happenings in the world, racism is still happening today. But I think courage might look a little different from every day to those times, because we were in war. We are in war not on our soil, but in different places, Afghanistan and such.
Right.
I think it looks a little different for each person, and it's what courage is, and that's really what this book is about. But I would just say that underlying message there to that question is, I think it's more being amplified than ever before. Sure.
Yeah. And it's funny we're talking about this today because I was, and this is not funny, I was watching the memorial service that Heather Heyer's mother spoke in Charlottesville. My family's from the South, from that area, from Virginia. And so, I have an acute attachment relationship to that area. But I loved what she said. And, there are moments in our lives, and this is what I want to talk about when we come back. There are moments in our lives, and some people say those moments define us. Bravery and the bravest you and the way you talk about it speaks volumes to how we can show up in life, regardless of our circumstances. Viktor Frankl is somebody that I've read thoroughly to understand. Because I want to understand. I want to understand how to be more like that. And today, what I heard gave me a new perspective on things from a mother who showed up in public today, probably took a couple of sheets out of your book here. We could have looked at a couple of things here and made a simple statement. And we'll talk about that when we come back. The Bravest You. We've got several copies to give away. Adam Kirk-Smith joining me here today. When we come back, I'm going to tell you how you can get involved with what Adam's doing, as well as his social media, websites, get a copy of the book. And when we come back, we're going to give you a copy of the book. We'd love to give it away. 1-800-930-2819. We'll be right back. The Bravest You is waiting for you. We'll be right back.
Now you can be a part of one of the most powerful programs to help create a more joyful, loving, abundant, and peaceful world. Every day at 12 noon in any time zone, join millions of other people around the world to spend a few minutes in joy, love, and gratitude. Brought to you by Robert Schoenfeld, host of the Art of Powerful Living Radio. Together, we can raise the vibration of the planet. For more information, visit globalmomentofjoy.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Discover the healing medicine from the giant monkey tree frog Cambo. Cambo practitioner Ginny Rutherford and professional psychic Todd Rolson have come together for lively discussions of alternative healing medicines from the Amazon. Ginny and Todd bring you Cambo Talk Radio. Tune in each Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear from guests all over the world with real life stories and the medicinal benefits of Cambo. For more information, visit cambokiss.com.
Tune in to Mainstream Metaphysics Radio to harness your connection with the universe to effect change for optimal success and happiness. Named one of the country's top psychics, Eve now brings her insights and gifts to this weekly hit call-in show
joined by visionaries, leaders, and gifted others, but mostly you. Jot it down. Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Are you looking for the perfect setting for your next workshop or retreat? At Spirit Fire Meditative Retreat Center, cultivating consciousness is what we do best. Our guests count on us to create an atmosphere that supports serenity and well-being. We lead from the heart and create space for the mind. Freshly prepared meals designed with local and organic ingredients, 95 acres of beautiful woods and pastures, and a facility built with green in mind. This is what you'll find at Spirit Fire. For more information, visit spiritfireretreatcenter.com.
Amber Teal, founder of The Healthy Edge, is bringing you the hit show Healthy Edge Radio, living with power, passion, and purpose. Amber provides the support and tools necessary for you to finally release the weight and emotions that are hidden beneath the weight. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information on how you can take the next step with Amber, visit getthehealthyedge.com.
Hey, everybody. It's so great to have Adam joining us here today. Adam Kirk-Smith, author of The Bravest You, but also more importantly, you want to connect with Adam. He has created just so many ways for you to do that. Adam, let's just take a minute before we kind of jump ahead and let folks know how can they find out more about you, website, how can they get a hold of you? I know on Twitter, all of the above. Let's just get people connected.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. asmithblog.com is the blog. That's the main hub. asmithblog everywhere else on social media. Twitter is what I like to use the most, but Facebook, Instagram, wherever people are. And then the book, The Bravest You, the easiest place to send people is just Amazon. Go to amazon.com and type in The Bravest You, and the book will pop up. And I'd love for everybody to read it. I think it's needed. I spent 4 years on it, and I didn't spend 4 years on it just for giggles. So
yeah,
I think it'll help people. I really do. So.
Yeah, and boy, it's timely. I mean, it's interesting when we start a project that's years prior to when it actually, comes to the forefront. But, this is really, and what you've written here is really a blueprint for our time, I believe. There are several things I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to kind of jump to the 5 stages of the bravery process for a minute. And I don't know that we'd have time to talk about all of them, but I do want to talk about several of them. Mm-hmm. One in particular, I was shocked to even find it in here and then really happy.
Well, good.
I really was. It was like, what? I had to go back and say, the power of using your intuition to fight fear.
Yeah.
I love that. I've done 9,000 interviews, and I have just not seen that.
Right. When I came across that, I was talking about research, the power of intuition, listening to your gut, some people put it, but we all have experiences. We all have different upbringings. My upbringing is different from every listener, but our experiences, our prior happenings in our lives happen for a reason. I'm a huge believer in, and so intuition, our gut, if you want to call it, our intuition is formed by our knowledge and our prior experiences, and so what we go through kind of gives us a set of guidelines for how we look at the world, not only how we look at the world, but what we do with things in the future. And so many times our fears are related to our ignorance of happening. We haven't experienced it. We haven't even tried to learn about it. We haven't practiced something. We can only get better the more we do it. An example I give about practice is me in public speaking. I hated public speaking. I hated getting in front of people, but I had to practice, I'm definitely better after doing 100 times than one time. And so, the intuition thing, our gut, it really helps us with those things prior to doing them, prior to, maybe learning about them when we have to make these quick reactions, quick decisions. It's our intuition that tells us what to do, what's the right thing to do in that time. And so, as much as we like to plan life out, I'm a planner, things come up quickly, and it's that intuition, that way in which we ought to go, that voice inside of us that's telling us what to do. And even when fear comes, this intuition comes and helps us know, when we don't have all the facts yet, and even when we like to have the facts, even when the facts are looking right back at us, things still, we might not still be looking at everything, but our intuition will help guide us. And many times it's that we're not aware enough, we're not present in life enough. We really need to stop and take notice of the things that we've been through, and the things that are happening around us. Be fully engaged in life rather than just passing by quickly. I think we will gather, better answers, better reactions, better actions when we're fully present, and then use our intuition to help fight our fears.
And I love this because and why is it that I resonate with some things that more than others, right? I read your book, and there's much more I could talk to you about, but you may not know this. Benny has heard me say this a million times. The only reason that you and I are talking today is because in 2003, I dialed a wrong phone number. I didn't hang up. And within 10 minutes, I spent $15,000 to buy 1 hour of air on an internet-only network. Now, nobody in their right mind with a half a brain would do anything like that. You understand that was
That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
I didn't know
because
that story. That is very neat.
It's the same thing, though. This station here, 3 months later, I think KKNW said, well, we heard about your show. You're not going to believe this. I can remember Eric Kremer's words. You're not going to believe this. A Monday through Friday spot at 10 o'clock just became available. I'll never forget that. And now we have Monday through Friday, 10 to noon, and we're on close to 200 other channels in the U.S., 25 in Australia, because of that one phone number. But I want to talk about what happens after the fact. You dial the number, you take action, and you start to find that you're doing something you love. I'm not a broadcast person, Adam. I mean, I had just finished going to school for a PhD in psychology. The show wasn't even called Dr. Pat. It was called Crust Busting Your Way to an Awesome Life.
Oh, wow.
My friends wanted to commit me. So here's the question. I got scared. I didn't get scared because I intuitively knew. I want to ask you, how does other people's fear affect our bravery trajectory, and what can we do about it?
How does the fear of other people around us affect?
Yeah, like you. It's like, Adam, really? You're going to write this book? Why are you doing that? I mean, why would you, that kind of stuff. Like, Pat, seriously? You're supposed to be working for Deloitte and Touche and that big fat $250,000 a year plus bonus job. What?
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, speaking to that specifically, I think we have to be very in tune with who we have around us and the people we're allowing to speak in our lives. Not only that, but then also what I heard there is, you need to help people. You needed to help people. You needed to get that voice out, what was inside you. And this goes back to the bravery process. The bravery process begins with complacency. And I hope we have time to kind of shuffle through this real quick. But
do it. Let's do it.
Okay. Awesome. And, with complacency in my own life, the way it looked was that, I knew what I ought to do, but I wasn't doing it because I was playing life safe. And then, the idea comes. In your case, it was the radio show. And then fears came, right? I mean, exactly what you were saying. But your passion to do the radio show, to get your voice out there, the passion, all the reasons that you could, the only way that you did what you did was all the voices saying all the reasons you could became louder than all the reasons you couldn't, right? Yeah. And so passion through my research, the 350 people that I talked to, my research through just reading and talking to people in my own life, passion really is the only way to get people from the third stage of fear to the fifth stage of bravery. It's something that is so necessary. So it's important that that's a very unique thing that was inside you to buy that spot to put on a radio show. Not everybody would do that, but you felt inside you that was the right thing to do, even though fear came. Your passion to do it, your passion to better the world, to help other people, became louder. And that's a beautiful thing. We all need to be aware of those inklings that come in our lives. Those voices that tell us, hey, you might need to check this out. I believe they're there for a reason, not to just ignore. It's when people stop becoming curious is when there's trouble. We have to remain curious about those things that speak to us and dive in. That's the reason that good books are written, that good radio shows are put on, is the reason we keep asking questions, the reason we keep helping people. It's important to help people, but we're curious of how people work, how what makes people tick, and what helps people. We're curious of those things.
Yeah, I love this morning. You and I were talking about Susan Bro, who the mother of Heather Heyer, and she said to this, and I love that she said this because this is something I learned after I got sick shortly after doing it. Say to yourself, what can I do to make a difference? And what I'd like to say about it, then do it. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Adam's going to help us in doing just that. How do we just do it? Is it that simple? Or maybe we got to look at the fear of inadequacy, failure, a few of these things. Do you know what I mean? The all-time favorite, rejection. And what about the fear of missing out? One of my favorite that he's got in the book. That's why we can't turn off our phones. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Laura Richer, host of On the Verge Radio. Sometimes you hear encouraging messages like transform your life now, become empowered, create the life you crave, and it all seems overwhelming and you're not sure where to start. I'm here to tell you that self-improvement is not always fun and easy, but it is always worth it. The path to creating positive changes begins with releasing the things that have been holding you back. Then you can create a life that inspires you. I know this because I've done it. You can find out more about what I do by visiting my website, seattlehealinghypnosis.com. I look forward to supporting you on your journey.
Tune in each month to Synergenetic Living Radio, where Rick and Grace Paris discuss the synergenetic way of life. What it means to truly change your perspective in life. What it means to take control of your life and manifest your true desires. For more information on Rick and Grace Paris and Synergenetic Living, check out synergeneticliving.com. Get clear on the life you desire and the current life you are creating and what is between the two. Synergenetic Living, living life loud.
Discover the healing medicine from the giant monkey tree frog Cambo. Cambo practitioner Ginny Rutherford and professional psychic Todd Rolson have come together for lively discussions of alternative healing medicines from the Amazon. Ginny and Todd bring you Cambo Talk Radio. Tune in each Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear from guests all over the world with real life stories and the medicinal benefits of Cambo. For more information, visit cambokiss.com.
Known for his keen sense of humor, contagious smile, and extensive esoteric wisdom, EJ translates deep spiritual wisdom into practical advice to empower you to live your happiest, most fulfilled experience. Mystic Living Radio, Deep Spiritual Wisdom, Practical Advice with EJ, Eliyahu Jihan. This hit show delivers profound experiences for all who want to live life to their deepest desires. Tune in monthly for Mystic Living Radio. Learn more by visiting vitaltransformation.org.
Do you want to heal your body and mind? Your body has a lot to tell you if you just learn to listen to your intuition. Audrey Michelle, host of Rewired Life Radio, can help you peel away the layers that are holding you back from living your best life. Tune in to Rewired Life Radio. Learn to love, heal, celebrate on Transformation Talk Radio every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Connect with Audrey at audreymichelle.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. I'm so thrilled to have my very special guest today, author of The Bravest You, 5 Steps to Fight Your Biggest Fears, Find Your Passion, and Unlock Your Extraordinary Life. Let's go ahead. 1-800-930-2819, 1-800-930-2819. Let's give a copy of the book away. Adam, if you could, one more time, how can people get a copy of the book? How can they follow you on social media? And also, you have an incredible blog.
Yeah, thanks for letting me do that. It's asmithblog.com. That's my main hub. I'm A-Smith blog everywhere else, such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And then the book you can find, the easiest way to tell people is just to go to Amazon.com, type in The Bravest You, and I'll be the first book that pops up. And, I appreciate it if you at least consider picking up a copy, because I really do think it'll help.
Yeah, I agree. I really do think it'll help. I mean, just myself in reading it, there are a few things I picked up here to help with the decision that I have to make in moving forward. Before the break, I mentioned a bunch of fears, but there's one here in particular I think is a fear of our time. See, I don't think this fear, I think it existed back in the day, as Benny likes to say, but not the way it does now. I think it is compelling. I think it's almost, pandemic. I think we have a scenario with it that has gone beyond anything that even me, with my big PhD in psychology, can't really talk about. The fear of missing out. I am amazed you put this in here. The fear of missing out. I observed a family at dinner the other night. None of them could stop looking on their phones. What is happening here with this?
Yeah, I mean, there's different opinions on this. One side says that social media, before social media, people would, stare off into space instead of talking to someone else. Social media is just making people happy in the meantime. And then on the other side of this is where me and you stand, because, we need to learn how to talk to people again, It's keeping us from interacting, communicating, relationship in real life, and it can trick us into thinking, as good and well as online relationships are, there's no substitute for the in real life, in person, sitting down with somebody, looking at them in the eyes, talking to them, being there for someone. Because what happens is, what I tried to convey in this book, it's not find passion in life will be A-okay. Things happen, as we've already talked about. And when we create in real life relationships, when we talk to people one-on-one, it gives people the opportunity to be there for us, not only in the good, but in the bad too. And I can think of many times in my own life, and we've already talked about, when you got sick, if those people in our life around us weren't there in those times, then, I don't know where I would be. And I'm sure you're the same way. We need people to lean on in those times. And so while talking about the positive parts of life are what I like to focus on, because negativity feels yuck, and it's much easier to just talk about the good. And we have to talk about the bad as well, because we're human and we have emotions and they run through us. And that's what, that's where fear comes from. That's where we're emotional beings. And talking about intuition before, we can tap into these emotions. They're important to pay attention to, while there are times to grieve, we can embrace that, but we also need to embrace the other side of that too, and positivity. And there's things that we, of course, can feed ourselves with. But the fear of missing out, why I wrote about it, is because, I start that chapter off with my own life. And there was a time in my life where I was just addicted. And it was at the beginning where, I was starting to see some momentum with social media and online and people showing up. And I was basically rating some of my self-worth by the amount of likes and retweets I was getting, which is ridiculous. But if I'm honest about it, that's where I was finding some, that people liked my stuff, and I was starting to find my, what I said before, self-worth in that stuff. And if we're not careful, we will continue down that road. And we have to be comfortable in our own skin. We have to know who we are, that we, don't need to compare ourselves to others to find joy. We can be, happy, complete beings.
Yeah.
And so, but I took to fight that fear of missing out at first. I took a month off social media. I came back and it started again. And then I took 3 months off, and then I noticed it was still there. And then ended up taking close to a year off of social media because my soul, my self-worth was more important than it. It would be very hard at this point, because it has grown over the years, to walk away. Somebody listening might be, well, I've built my business or I've built something on social media. I can't really walk away from my business. I would just say be more intentional with, like you said, putting the phones down at dinner. Or the main thing about this discussion here is we just need to be present in whatever we're doing. I'm not saying don't work on social media. It's just if you're going to work on social media and be on there, then go beyond there. But if you're going to be with people, be with people. And we have to be more intentional. I think it's important to block off time, but we've all been there in that conversation when someone's looking at their phone and not at us. And it doesn't feel very respectful of time. I want to see your eyes. I want to know that you're engaged in the conversation. But and social media is fun. Just don't schedule time with me if you're planning on that being your time. Go do it elsewhere. If all that makes sense. It's kind of a lot to talk about on that conversation, but it's definitely something in this day and age that people need to talk about.
I agree with you. I think the other thing too is, in this day and age we live in, our access to information, literally for me, having access to information over the internet saved my life. And I don't mean like metaphorically. I mean medically. Finding Dr. Nushin Darvish in Bellevue, because the angel lady thought I should look somebody up that has T3, saved my life. So there are things about this. Finding you, being able to have this conversation with you, and now reading your book. I mean, these are things that will help us to do great things in the world. One thing in the book I did want to get to, and people would be saying, well, Pat, you didn't talk about this. Benny and I have talked about change a lot.
Yeah.
You covered it in the book. I know.
It's inevitable. No matter how much we want to stop change, it just keeps happening, doesn't it?
Yeah. What's the saying that I came up with? It was really corny. I got like the corny award for it. Is change is inevitable, but transformation is optional. And somebody said to me, "Is that a quote for you, Pat?" I said, "Yeah, that's a Pat quote." And I'm going to have to post that. But the point is, this fear of change. You have done a brilliant job of laying this out. How did you become such an expert in this?
You know, I spent a lot of time on it. I think if people spent more time talking to people and thinking about it and researching it, they could produce better work. But going back to the fear of missing out, the social media is keeping people from putting forth their best effort and learning how to prioritize and getting back to what is important. You know, many times people are much more capable than they give themselves credit for, but they fill their schedules with the things that don't matter. And it comes, as cliche as this is, it really does come back to making what's important again. Priorities matter. They just do.
You know, in your journey, you've gotten feedback from the book. You get feedback from pretty much almost everything you post. What would you say is the bravest, if you could pick something, let's just call it a collective bravest, what would you say that you found now in humanity that you would put on the top 3 bravest acts? Oh, that's a big question, isn't that? Should we go to break and come back? Let's go to break. When we come back. Yeah, I just discovered that is a really big question. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man.
Introducing the Lucid Planet, a digital gathering place featuring cutting-edge, high-vibrational content that will empower and inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. Visit the Lucid Planet today to stimulate your mind, body, and soul as you connect with a global community of like-minded people. The Lucid Planet is edited by renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly Neff, who is here to help you cope with anxiety, connect to your higher purpose, uncover your true passions, and live your dreams. Dr. Kelly's fresh, compassionate perspective emphasizes growth, transformation, healing, and thriving, even in the face of adversity. Say goodbye to bad news and low vibrational media for good and become part of the larger collective of people working together to navigate the global shift of consciousness and transform the world from within. Join the planet, the Lucid Planet. Visit thelucidplanet.com. Welcome home.
To see your life from an angel's perspective, book a personal consultation with Claire Candy Huff, angelic walk-in angel Ariel at Angel Healing House. Candy provides intuitive counseling, Reiki, and angel readings in person in Los Angeles or nationally and internationally via phone or Skype. She will channel the practical tools you need to transform your life. Call now, 831-277-3716, or visit angelhealinghouse.com.
Tune in to the hit show Mouthing Off with Chef Rossi. Chef Rossi mouths off about different subjects in pursuit of breaking down walls and opening up your minds. She and Dr. Pat banter back and forth, taking from the headlines of the day on subjects that reach beyond what goes on in the world into your hearts. And go to theragingskillet.com to find out more and let Chef Rossi know what's on your mind.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Wanna be a richer man. To be a different man, time may change me.
Yeah, now you talk about a guy that knows a little bit about change. That's David Bowie, certainly did. Thank you, Benny, for that. The Bravest You, 5 steps to fight your biggest fears, find your passion, and unlock your extraordinary life. Adam is joining me here today, Adam Smith. Adam, before we kind of jump into the big question, please, again, let folks know how they can get a copy of the book, certainly how they can follow your blog and your website.
Yeah, asmithblog.com is the hub. Again, on social media, I'm asmithblog pretty much everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever you like to use. And then the book is The Bravest You. The easiest way to get that is to go to Amazon.com and just type in The Bravest You, and I will be the first book that pops up.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, so before the break, I was asking you a very general question, though, but the question was based on bravest things, bravest for you personally. And I asked you, do you have a top 3? What might the top 3 be that come to mind for you today? Now, things may change.
Yeah,
but when you think about this, you put a lot of time and energy and sweat into this book. So I know you've learned a few things.
Yeah, I did along the way. You know, the number one thing, the most interesting thing about fear was to know, first of all, before I talk about the 3 bravest things, is to know that many times fear is not as big as it seems or as we see it as. And a statistic that shows that comes out of the University of Cincinnati. 85% of the things we fear don't happen. 30% happen in the past, and 90% are considered insignificant. I just wanted to put that statistic out there for listeners that, if they're listening to this, many people that pick up my book, the reason to pick up my book is because someone's dealing with fear. Maybe someone's tuning into this because they saw that we were going to be talking about fear today, and they wanted to know some things about bravery that might help them through that fear. And I would say the most important thing before trying to fight our fears is it starts mentally. It starts with us, inside of us. Many times we're our own worst enemy. And, this statistic is probably a little relaxing. It was to me when I saw it, that many things that we fear don't even happen. And then many of those things even are considered insignificant. So when we look at fear and the way it ought to be looked at, it's probably not as big as one sees it as. But going back to the question, then, we talked about fear, then looking at bravery, the 3 bravest things. Number one, how it relates is standing up for what you believe in. I mean, that that is number one. Whatever your convictions are, whatever your, that voice inside of you that is saying to do what is right, you need to do it. That would be the number one thing, because in researching this book, I looked at leaders from the past, and we can look at so many leaders, and not only leaders, but people who stick out in history. And, I want to do great things in the world, not just present, but I want to be remembered. That, I want to help people, but I want to go down. That's not only am I helping people, that's the main reason that I show up every day. That's the reason I do what I do, is because of people. But two, I want to help the world after I'm gone. I want these things to still be talked about. Another reason to put out a book. The books stay around for a very long time. But researching people throughout history, even today, the ones that are going to be remembered are the ones who stand up for what is right, especially in the face of adversity. So if somebody's thinking about, one, they're dealing with a lot of fear in the present moment, and it's a huge thing, do what's right. That would be my advice. Enough tactics, enough systems. Let's look at the facts. What is right? And so that more times than not will give you the best answer. But and that can go with conversation that we have today about what's happened recently in the world. That can talk about 50 years ago, 100 years ago. I want to be on the right side of history, and I know listeners do too. And so, when making our choices, when doing what is right, we have to do what's right in that moment, and not only right for us, but doing what's right means looking at what's right for the collective group, what's right for humanity. So doing what's right, that's going to be the bravest thing, I think, in the world, because many times doing what's right is not popular. Doing what's right is uncomfortable many times.
Right.
But we have to do what's right. And the second thing, on a more practical level, on a more individual level, doing what's right, but also doing what's necessary. So many times in my life, doing what's right was having that conversation that was really uncomfortable, and might hurt someone else's feelings in that moment. But it was necessary because it was for the greater good. And, there's a lot to that point. We can come to people respectfully. We don't have to have hateful rhetoric. We don't have to, demean people in the process, but we need to do what's necessary. So that's on a more personal level. Like if someone listening to this has been putting on the back burner that they need to have a conversation with a loved one or a friend, only you can make that decision, but I would press people to have that necessary decision. So those are the two main things. That's a big question, but those are the two things that came to mind. Do what's right, do what's necessary, and put those things together. Have the right conversation, have the necessary conversation. And, I think
those are great. I think those are great because they are direct, they're to the point, and they give people, an option to make a decision in that moment, then that they could check off a box and say, yes, I'm doing this because this is right for me to do today. This is right. This is going to create a better world. And, after a while, may have to practice at some of this, right? Because that's what your book helps us do. After a while, we won't have to work at it so hard, will we?
That's right. It becomes a way of life. And the more you do it, the more you practice it, the more comfortable, the more primary and secondary it becomes. Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much, Adam, for today. Thank you for a great show. One last question I think I have time with. Personal message. What would you like to leave us with today?
based on the book, based on everything that we've talked about today, I would just tell people to focus on all the reasons they can, make those bigger than all the reasons they can't. And when they do, bravery is right around the corner.
I love it. Thank you. Adam Smith, everybody, the Bravest You. I'm Dr. Pat. And remember, share the wealth with people. Pass something on today that you heard to share with another person in their world to help them recognize their magnificence. We'll see you next time.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.